tonight.
I stand by what I said. Everything that he just said is a
NDP leader Carla Beck is asked to leave the Assembly after accusing Minister Jeremy Harrison of lying. Also, 2 doctors are speaking out about a shortage of liver specialists in Saskatchewan.
2 clap.
Plus, basketball star Michael Linklater inspires students to move their feet and value their mental health at Walk It Off Wednesday.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, May 3rd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Opposition NDP leader Carla Beck broke a hard and fast rule of the Saskatchewan legislature today, and it got her booted out of the House. Politicians are not allowed to call each other liars. Beck did just that, and she isn't sorry about it. It happened after Minister of Trade Jeremy Harrison said the NDP doesn't support pipelines.
They have absolutely zero credibility on every economic file, and none more so than when it comes to pipelines in the energy sector.
Recognize the leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I think the minister likes to think him rather clever within the walls of this Assembly. Right. Everything that minister just said is a dead lie. Does he have a word?
Beck was asked to apologize and withdraw 3 times by the Speaker and refused. She was escorted out of the Assembly. Prior to the ejection, the NDP had referenced Evraz steelworkers who were in the gallery and their concerns about the lack of work on the pipe side of the factory. Beck stood by her choice of words after question period.
These members, for the very first time, coming to their legislature, they were nervous to be here, coming in earnest to, think that they could talk to both sides. They could talk to the opposition and the government and receive a reception that was, respectful of the urgency with which they came with these concerns. Instead, they got theatrics and division in politics from that minister. And again, I was incredibly frustrated, and I could not make myself say that he did not lie, because he did.
Minister Jeremy Harrison did not address the exchange with reporters following question period. Instead, Minister of Energy and Resources Jim Ryder spoke and said Harrison's characterization of the NDP was, quote, factual. Ryder had a meeting with the Evraz workers and union this afternoon. 2 doctors are speaking out about a shortage of liver specialists in the province. They say the need for hepatologists has never been greater and that demand will only increase in coming years as liver disease becomes more common in Saskatchewan. Bonnie Allen reports.
Transplanted 2 months ago.
These 2 liver specialists are the only ones in the province. And Dr. Lawrence Warbetz is retiring from clinical practice in December after 42 years on the job. He's worried about leaving his younger colleague alone.
There's no liver specialist in Regina, so we now have over 150 patients with liver transplant that we're currently taking care of.
And it's not just transplant patients. Dr. Mina Niazi has as many as 1,000 patients with chronic liver disease, cirrhosis, cancer, and liver failure.
So in a province where we ideally need at least 4 to 5 liver specialists, and I will be the only one, it definitely concerns me because I will not be in position to attend to patients very well, and that will compromise, patient care.
Dave Turk is worried too. The Saskatoon man had a liver transplant last August and knows how much he still relies on the doctors.
You think about it, and one person leaves, that shouldn't result in the end or the crippling of a department. You would hope that the people that need to make decisions are listening to those in the job who are trying to explain, the standards of care that they're trying to uphold.
Dr. Warbetz and Dr. Niazi are meeting with the Health Ministry and Health Authority later this week. They want more hepatologists and more nurses, and they want more investment in prevention. The burden of severe liver disease due to fatty liver is expected to more than double by 2030.
This is actually a huge epidemic. The majority of people, it's related to something we term metabolic syndrome. And this is people who are overweight and who have type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, and hypertension.
Dr. Warbats finds it difficult to retire when the need for liver treatment is so great. He says more measures to prevent liver disease would reduce the burden, save money, and save lives. Bonnie Allen, CBC News.
Regina Public School Division is looking for ways to save money next school year. The Director of Education told staff this week that he's dealing with a difficult and disappointing budget from the province and can't maintain current services. Nicholas Frew has more on what's on the chopping block.
A letter to staff from the Regina Public School Division says it is slated to receive an increase of $2.5 million in operational funding next school year, but it says it needs $7.5 million to maintain the same services without any, quote, significant enhancements or reductions. The letter says the division is considering cost-saving measures, including charging parents fees for noon-hour supervision, reducing spending on technology and learning resources, and cuts that would increase staff-to-student ratios.
As a school division, that will require us to take measures, of which we're discussing right now, which those will be, that will have impacts across the school division, as well as potentially to families.
The Saskatchewan government increased operational funding for school divisions by about $49 million next year, but the education sector has said that isn't enough, raising concerns about inflation and significant increases in student enrollment. Director of Education Darren Bolt says Regina Public Schools received an additional 600 students this year without any extra funding. As he considers cost-saving measures, he says no one would lose their job. Rather, the division may not fill vacancies created by resignations and retirements.
We could see an increase in pupil-teacher ratio. It would come across as a small percentage, but it will be felt in the schools.
Premier Scott Moe has said more money will come, but couldn't say when exactly. The Education Minister will be working with school divisions to figure out budgets.
We look forward to working with the school divisions based on the announcement that the Premier indicated earlier this week, Mr. Speaker, that there will be more additional funding coming.
Regina Public Schools will finalize its budget next month. The Director of Education says it would be ideal to get more money before that happens. Nicholas Frew, CBC News, Regina.
A First Nation in Saskatchewan made history this week. After hundreds of years, Whitecap Dakota First Nation finally has its own treaty with Canada. The community, among other Dakota nations, never signed historic treaties because they were seen as Native Americans, not Indigenous peoples of Canada. But yesterday, Whitecap Dakota Chief Darcy Bear signed a self-governing treaty in Ottawa alongside Federal Minister Mark Miller. Whitecap is the first and only self-governing First Nation in Saskatchewan and the only Dakota nation to have a treaty. It already has autonomy over issues such as land management and membership, but this new agreement allows the community to move away from the Indian Act.
A lot of these pieces are already there. We have a lot of policies that we've developed over the years, and so we're here and we're ready. And it's about time as Indigenous people we make our own decisions and we have our own governance. So it was an inherent right that the Creator gave us, and we're just taking it back.
This is one where Whitecap Dakota have taken that leap of faith, and really we've built some trust with that community and many others. And I think in that context, this is significant for us, and we're looking for a lot more in the next little while.
This is the 27th self-governing agreement Canada has made with an Indigenous group, but the first collaborative modern treaty under a new federal policy. The agreement is expected to take effect September 1st. eHealth is making it easier for you to access your personal health records with a new mobile app. It's called My Sask Health Record, and it works the same as the website. It lets users see lab results, medical imaging reports, and their history of immunizations, prescriptions, and clinical visits. It also offers you a chance to add your own information to track and generate reports, set medication and appointment reminders, and share information with other users. The government says all data in the app is stored securely. You do need to have a MySask Health Record account to use the app. You can sign up for that on the website. Football season is getting closer, with training camp starting Sunday, May 14th. The Riders will head north to Griffith Stadium in Saskatoon for camp, but first, they'll find out who's joining them. Last night was the CFL draft, and with the third pick overall, the Riders selected defensive lineman Lake Corte Moore from the University of BC. Corte Moore's season will start where it ended last year. His Thunderbirds faced the U of S Huskies in the Hardy Cup last November at Griffiths. Also in round one, defensive end Anthony Bennett from the U of R went 8th overall to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And in the second round, the Riders picked a local product, defensive back Jackson Ford from the U of R. Ford continuing a family legacy with the Riders. His grandfather, Al Ford, was also a defensive back with the team, helping them win the 1966 Grey Cup. Sunny, warm day feels much more like the middle of summer out there than the start of May. What a stark difference in Regina today from even just 10 days ago. We are seeing temperatures that are warmer than average, but how long is this going to last? Ethan has your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Authorities in Quebec have found the bodies of 2 volunteer firefighters swept away by floodwater on Monday. Both men were trying to help residents in the flood-ravaged region of Charlevoix. Marina von Stackelberg has more.
For days, rescuers have combed this area northeast of Quebec City, searching for 2 part-time firefighters swept away by river currents. The pair were trying to help residents trapped by rising waters. The bodies of 55-year-old Régis Lavoie and 23-year-old Christopher Lavoie have now been found. The 2 firefighters were not related. The apparent drownings happened in the Charlevoix region, in the Bay St. Paul area, as water levels rose on the Rivière de Gouffre.
I think they were in really good faith, trying to help. They, of course, didn't think that it would go so fast.
Quebec's premier toured the devastation, where water also swept away vehicles, destroyed roads, and damaged houses.
They built those houses, they renovated those houses, and it's the asset of their life. And they see that right now, maybe they won't be able to come back, so it's terrible.
This week, more than 500 people here had to leave their homes. One resident says in some areas, the water rose more than 2 meters.
The neighbors here and myself are fairly numb to the circumstances now, just seeing what's going to be next and if the province will help homeowners and business owners with anything, because we're in a floodplain. And this only happens every 100 years, but I guess the 100 years was yesterday.
Opposition leaders in Quebec are calling on the Premier to do more to help residents better prepare for flooding like this.
In my part of the world, this is the 3rd flood in 7 years. People are growing tired and very tired of this. They want to see proper investments that are made, and I thought the Premier shut the door pretty quickly with regards to investments that needed to be made.
Those municipalities who deserve support in order to be ready for situations like those, because there are going to be many of those situations in the near future.
Likely to be top of mind as mayors from across Quebec are set to meet later this week. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Super Sierra and SUV sale is on now.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now from flooding into Quebec to a very dry situation in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that's right. We now have one uncontrolled fire in the province that is posing a bit of a threat to a community. This is near Moosomin First Nation. That's just north of the Battlefords, and they're having what they call a high-severity wildfire in the area. About 2,800 hectares burned so far. There is an evacuation plan in place, but the community says it hasn't come to that yet, but they'll be keeping an eye out. They do do need fire suppression equipment. So if you're in the area and you're able to help out and provide that, there's the number on your screen there. 306-980-5573 is the number to call if you can provide a hand to those folks. Now, we are entering a period today and tomorrow where weather conditions are really going to play a factor in wildfire conditions. And something called the rule of 30, where we have winds at or gusting higher than 30 kilometers an hour. We'll have temperatures pretty close to the 30-degree mark once again, and relative humidity 30% or lower. Today, it's been in the teens through much of the province, so very warm but very dry. And the temperatures today have been getting close to 30 in portions of southwestern and west central Saskatchewan, even stretching all the way up to the far north. We have gotten close to 30 degrees in some regions there, and even at this hour, we're at 29 in Leader, and even back northeast from there, we're in the low 20s in places like Yorkton and Hudson Bay. And this is well above normal for this time of year. These are daytime highs compared to where we should be. All about 10 degrees above normal in south central and the Churchill region. Stony Rapids, you were 17 degrees above normal today. You got to 26. You should be at 9 this time of year, and you have a forecast high of 28 tomorrow. So you'll be around 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. And that's because high pressure still lingering in the area. There's really not much happening on our systems map here as we head into tonight and tomorrow. Keep a close eye here, though. You'll see these black lines here. These isobars are starting to get a little bit closer together. And especially as we head into Friday, we will see those start to get tighter and tighter, and that means that we are going to see those winds pick up. Tomorrow, it'll be kind of wet, the western half of Saskatchewan, where gusts will be between 40 and 50 kilometers an hour. And then especially as we head into Friday here, we see gusts shift from the east and will be between 50 and 60 in some portions of the province. And again, in that area where we're seeing those fires pop up, the number of active fires continuing to grow, that'll be a concern there as the winds start to increase. Now, there is a bit of a pattern change that's going to happen here. This ridge kind of starts to phase out a bit, and our jet stream drops to the south and a little bit of a trough building in, and that's going to place south and central Saskatchewan into a bit of a pattern change and some more cloud and possibly some rain showers. In Regina and southern Saskatchewan, we're not talking about a whole lot of rain. We're kind of catching the northern edge of a low pressure system, so a few millimeters as we head through the next week. Saskatoon and central Saskatchewan, you'll be just a bit further north, so you won't catch the rain as much, especially Saturday and Sunday. Conditions staying pretty much on average, but we can hope for a little bit of that rain to come that way as well, Sam.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
The principal of a West Virginia school had a not-so-pleasant surprise when he unlocked a dumpster recently. A black bear jumped out of the container where it had been rummaging for food. Fortunately, it ran away from James Marsh rather than at him. The principal had been attempting to remove a lock that was intended to keep bears out of the dumpster. Go figure. We'll be back after the break. The brother of the Prime Minister has made an appearance in front of the House of Commons Ethics Committee. Alexandre Trudeau is a member of the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation. The committee wants to know about his involvement in arranging a major donation to the foundation from a Chinese billionaire.
I was giving the approval for the Université de Montréal to use the name of my father, so acting as a family member to say that the Université de Montréal could be using the name of Pierre Trudeau to launch a scholarship program.
The Trudeau Foundation funds and promotes academic and public interest research. The committee has been investigating whether a promise of $200,000 was part of an influence campaign by the Chinese government to get to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The Prime Minister says he has not been involved in the foundation's activities for nearly a decade. King Charles will be coronated in a few days, and excitement is building in London. The event is rich in tradition but comes with security concerns. Chris Brown explains.
The top hats, tails, and fashionable fascinators are all coming out as the momentum builds towards the crowning of a new king. Charles, along with Camilla, the Queen consort, mingled with some of their well-groomed subjects and a few famous visitors, such as singer Lionel Richie at a garden party.
It's nice to see everyone, irrelevant to who or where they come from. Everyone gets together. It's a big one party, isn't it?
But it's a party happening against an unprecedented security backdrop. Monday night, a man threw shotgun cartridges onto the grounds of Buckingham Palace in what police called a mental health issue, not terrorism. Still, facial recognition cameras are being used, and anti-monarchist groups have been told they must behave.
We have an extremely low tolerance for anything or anyone who comes to disrupt this event.
Tourism officials are expecting potentially 2 million extra visitors. Canadian bagpiper Nico Gravel from Ottawa got here early, and he's busking his way around the coronation venues.
You know, in my lifetime, how many times am I going to see a king being crowned? Trying to brighten the mood and trying to do my part.
Others are doing that through street art. Nathan Bowen told us he's not really a monarchist, but is still offering his own take on the new king and queen.
I said it's part of our country, innit? We've got to deal with it. So, why not make art out of it? Why not make it into something that's fun and exciting?
Predictably, there are already early arrivers camping out at the best spots, and some got a sneak peek at the royals arriving at Westminster Abbey for a rehearsal. While the coronation will be rich in tradition, this historian says its most important role will be making a statement about Britain's present and its future.
Sustainability, cost of living, green issues, they're all at the agenda. Charles III very, very much pushing that. And the same with inclusivity, a wider faiths being represented. So it's very much a 21st century coronation.
Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
A very mild night in Regina and southern Saskatchewan. Will be at 13 degrees by midnight. Those winds just a little bit breezy from the east, but clear skies continuing, and that'll be a theme into the morning as well. 12 degrees, already double digits by the time we're at 8 a.m. And then as we head into the afternoon, winds again picking up a little bit, and will already be past 20 degrees. Saskatoon again, winds going to be a little bit breezier. I think you're just closer to where the center of those winds are going to be tonight and tomorrow. Will be close to 13 degrees overnight as well. Sunny skies, again, 14 by 8 a.m. Winds shifting a bit to the southeast before they continue to do so in the afternoon. We'll be close to around 24 degrees. Lots of sunshine. Great afternoon to get outside and enjoy more of those outdoor activities, Sam.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you, speaking of outdoor activities, it was Walk It Off Wednesday at the Saskatoon Soccer Centre today in honor of Mental Health Week. More than 1,000 teachers and students took part in person, and nearly 300 classrooms took part from afar. Basketball star Michael Linklater was the keynote speaker. He set the tone, and then everyone participated in an outdoor mindfulness walk.
1 clap, 2 clap.
Mental health is starting to come to the forefront in terms of the awareness. A lot of people, including adults, really struggle with mental health issues. So helping youth recognize that, but also giving them some tools to overcome some of those struggles with respect to their mental health. Giving them a number of tips that will support them through some of those struggles when they're dealing with it, I think is going to be very beneficial for them. So the more we can create awareness about the importance of mental health and taking care of ourselves and our overall well-being is going to be very important, especially for this next generation. One of the things that was taught to me growing up through our elders, or our Keteya, in Cree that means wise one, is they talk about gratitude and giving thanks. So each morning that you wake up, they share with us that we should give thanks for the day that has been gifted to us before our feet touch the ground. So even before you get out of bed, you should be grateful for that day that has been, given to you, because each day is a gift and it's a blessing. And, just taking that little bit of time in the morning sets, those intentions for your day and sets you on a good path.
Some great advice for us all. That is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel. Ethan will be back with more local news and weather at 11. We're back online tomorrow night at 6 as NHL playoffs take over the network. Thanks for watching and have a great night.